This video is going to show you solo GM getting platinum rank for the weekly featured Grandmaster, which is Behemoth. Now the weekly modifier for this particular Grandmaster Nightfall is called Shock Caller. On Reddit, this isn't my testing, Reddit says this: Shock Caller landing multiple precision hits with a primary weapon empowers special heavy weapons and reduces incoming damage, paraphrased. Just test it at Golgoroth. It's a 20% buff for 13 seconds that can be refreshed. Nice extra damage you'll get almost for free just by proc and bait and switch. Just got to remember to shoot more than one shot of your primary. I think the multiple precision hits needs to be on the same enemy. It wasn't activating when I was one tap and throw, but it was activating when beaming with AAR. Not sure about the damage reduction, unfortunately, but it didn't seem like much. I can only eyeball it, but it's anywhere from 15 to 25% damage resist. Okay, so here's for my input. It's actually 14 seconds, but that's fine. It's bugged on the UI. So on the left hand side, whenever you see a timer, see that 14 seconds? That's when I'm activating Shock Caller. That will buff your special and heavy weapon. It won't buff your primary though. And the damage resistance will more than likely, as an educated guess, be 25%. Why? Because class warfare is a 25% damage resist. So I would presume to see that this will be 25. Why would it be 15? The guy just guessed anyways. But what I'm saying is it's more than likely 25% damage resist. So on the upshot, this modifier is a pro modifier, and you're better off using long range primary weapons. I know Prismatic Titan exists in the game, but let's have a intellectual, conversation and not just, talk about one subclass, please. So this modifier doesn't make you, but the incentive is to play with a precision loadout, basically. So this is a very ad dense GM. By the way, I fell off map here. So this was my first absolute clear of this GM. I didn't know the enemy spawns per se. I had an idea of the GM, but I didn't fully understand, all the enemy spawns. Because how can I if I haven't done a run before this? I'm not a future teller, of course. So as you can see, as we start here, there's a couple of champs. There was the fresher. We've got on Mountaintop, Polaris Lance, and a linear fusion rifle with chill clip on it. I thought I would try out this utility heavy weapon. Now, if you want to try out a grenade launcher with chill clip, you can as well. That is absolute viable. See, the thing about this loadout is, it is barrier scout rifle, but Polaris Lance can stun unstops, but it's not straight away on the stop. So here we go. Here's what I'm talking about. So I don't want to wait for Polaris to stun this unstop because it takes multiple shots. So I'm going to use chill clip, then we get a stun, then we can get an instant stun that way, you see, whilst also having a grenade launcher on, in this case Mountaintop. The reason for Mountaintop is this is a very long range GM, and this works better than maybe an area denial GL or a wave frame GL. Why? Because there's freshes to kill. You're standing 30, 40, 50 metres away. I just think Mountaintop's a little bit more suitable for this GM because of that fact. Are we all aware of it? Plus, you will still debuff. You will still activate concussive reload off one shot. So, Mountaintop's more relevant this week. So, make sure you're getting your Mountaintops out. Longer range, weapons, precision-based weapons predominantly. And you can play into the buff. You get a 14-second damage buff to your special and heavy, which is 20%, as the guy on Reddit said. So you can absolutely play around with that. So yeah, I just ran a chill clip heavy just for utility. Let's just to see, how good is it? Is it a good thing to use? And it ended up being all right. I mean, we've got other ways to stun the champs. I've got Gunpowder Gamble on, right? Now, if I'm ever using a solar exotic primary on a Prismatic Hunter, and I'm playing from 40 to 50 metres away, I will use Gunpowder Gamble. See, a lot of people keep asking me, I get the most questions about Hunter. Not so much Warlock and Titan. I think Warlock and Titan mains sort of understand, what they want to do and what they can and shouldn't do. Whereas on a Hunter, it's all over the place. Hunter mains are all over the place, and still now. And I get the question on, okay, Stars Executioner is best in slot on aspects, right? What's the second, what should you pair that with? Well, it depends on what you're doing and exactly why. So if I want to play super aggressive, I go Winter Shroud or the decoy aspect. But generally speaking, for what I'm doing in the game, Winter Shroud is better because we can stun champs and things better. And if you're critically wounded while playing up close, you can do Winter Shroud, and it's a get out of jail free card. You can also buildcraft around it because of Hail of the Storm. You're slowing them. You can then back that up with a Dustfield to freeze them, etc, 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 right? So I like Winter Shroud. I like Gunpowder's Gamble when we're using an exotic solar weapon, which in this case we're using we're using Polaris Lance. Polaris Lance is just, I would say, probably one of the best weapons to use for this GM, just because of how long range it is. Now, the argument's going to be, should we be on a Solar Hunter or a Prismatic Hunter? Because Solar has Ember of Ashes. You apply more Scorch stacks when you're on a Solar subclass, right? So is there much point to run Prismatic on this? I think there's still an argument for it, because look, I'm still going Invis, and I can go Invis off Polaris Lance. You know, I've got Gunpowder Gamble, I've got a Dustfield Grenade, I can go Transcendence. So I think there's still an argument just to go on Prismatic, probably. You don't need to... I mean, you could go on a Solar and run Ember of Empyrean with a Solar Grenade, so you get Infinite Restoration. But we're playing that far back, it didn't matter. I actually ran the fragment that affects strand matter for precision-based hits. I thought, you know what? That is a fragment that's definitely going on, because this playstyle is all different. So the lesson to learn, Hunter mains, specifically you, I'm talking to you, there is no best in slot for Hunter per se. It's all playstyle. I mean, if you really want to pin me down and say, what is best in slot on Prismatic? I've told you what it is, but some people just want to be told over and over and over again about what I think. I've told you what best in slot is for GMs. It is the exotic class item with Spirit of Inmost Light and Cryo. So for Woven Mail and ability regen uptime. That is the best aggressive playstyle of a Prismatic Hunter that you can have. Either that or the super regen one with Tether. But the thing about this is, we don't want Tether, we want Nighthawk damage. Because the boss is susceptible to that, and we can keep farming Nighthawks. Because Golden Gun is still classed as a Roman super. It is still classed as a Roman super. People have said this is a bug, is it? Is it though? Because I guess it is, right? But they still haven't looked at that. I don't know. They still haven't looked at that. So we can get a lot of Golden Guns out. So this starting section, now I've talked, enough about loadouts. This starting section, don't push up, because the Cabal drop pods will almost certainly kill you. The only thing to be worried about is the Fresher. There's a number 2 Fresher coming up, and he can wipe you if a Fresher was a male, right? Depends who's piloting the Fresher, isn't it? But what the point of it is, when the ads spawn at the back of the map, that is when the Fresher spawns in, and the Fresher loops around. This is the phase right here. So look, I'm looking up because I know that there is another Fresher, and that Fresher can melt you on that building if you're not careful. See that Fresher right there? So we're going to back up just for that. Now, if you could proc in Viz with Stylish as that Fresher comes in, that might be justifiable. But I just ran to the back of the map, right? Now, I didn't even know where the Fresher goes to right now. I'm looking for the Fresher. Where is the Fresher now? The Fresher just goes to the back of the map. This is what Mountaintop is on for. Now, I didn't know how many Freshers was in this. I was anticipating 4, 6 Freshers. There wasn't. There was only 2. So I was a little disappointed, actually. I was like, oh, where's the Freshers? Because Freshers in GMs are the biggest threat in Cabal-based stuff. And I just think, there should have been more Freshers in this. I'm kind of scratching my head why there wasn't. Like I told you, this was my first clear of this GM. I haven't experimented with this GM at all. So I will revisit it and do a more optimized run throughout the week. We may go on a different subclass as well. But Hunter is king this week, in my opinion, just because of Nighthawk damage. I know, like I say, you could do a speed run on Prismatic Titan and do it in 10 minutes. I know that is possible. But I'm just talking in general, you know. Hunter's just fantastic this week, and any time that Hunter's fantastic, I try and do a Hunter clear, because generally I slack on Hunters the most. Overall, like in general, with all my runs over the years, Hunter's definitely the least amount of runs that I do. There might be many reasons for that. Maybe the Hunter doesn't resonate with me as much as the Hunter used to. There's things like that come into play. So I'm going to speed up the footage here, because we're literally just clearing out the rest of the ads. Now there's 3 keys to pick up. The keys don't bug out, and they will just sit on the floor. So just pick them up when you want. There doesn't seem to be any ad trigger when you pick up the key. It's just a case of you put those keys in at the end, and then you do a scan. That is it. So we're just speeding up the footage because, as I say, there's not really anything else to really commentate and tell you about. I'm just scouting these ads down. Notice how many gunpowder gambles I keep getting, which is handy to use on an unstop. You know, especially with my loadout, or I can chill clip them. To note, there's a lot of ammo bricks in this. I don't know if there's secret crates in this like there was on Inverted Spire. I can't until reset happens today. I can't test to see if there's any secret bricks, but I doubt that there is. I think Inverted Spire was unique in that case, but there are a few bricks. The crates. I'm on about crates. Polaris is good as well for that. Phalanxes with their shields, it can penetrate it because of barrier rounds, of course. So remember, Polaris Lance can stop unstops, and it does stop them quicker if you're on a solar class because of Ember of Ashes. You up your Scorch stack, and Ember of Ashes is not available on Prismatic. But I tell you what is available, Facet of Ruin. So when you do get your ignition, which is slightly different to a Scorch, the more Scorches you have, the quicker you get to ignition. But when you do an ignition, right, that radius is opened out. So run Facet of Ruin on this. And I recommend every single fragment I used, I wouldn't change. Even the Strand one, because the Strand one synergizes with Polaris, it means that I'm doing that Strand matter to that VIP target or the champ or whatever it is, right? I just thought that was a good one to put on because we're not playing aggressive here. You know, this is a long-range GM and we're playing exactly as the GM wants us to with Shock Caller. Now, I think this is going to upset a lot of Prismatic Warriors. You know, they want CQC build, they want Metal Gear Solid, they want Tekken 2 gameplay in Destiny 2. You know, but running this GM reminded me of a simpler time of when not maybe a simpler time, but maybe a tougher time when you did need to play from a range and you were rewarded for playing from a range. And I don't think that's a problem in the game. I don't know why people, you know, as if they're snobby about it. Oh, nowadays, post-file shape days, we can do this, we can do that. You know, the game's more watchable now. How is it more watchable, though? If I go back to 3-4 years ago, my channel was getting 3 or 4 times the amount of views and watch time as what it gets now. So how is the game more watchable? And that's account wide. When I say account wide, I mean YouTuber wide. All the YouTubers are getting far less views than they ever got. So how is this game now more watchable because we have Prismatic? It's actually 3 times less watchable now than it ever was. So it's only select few individuals that think this, that, oh, the game's better now. Well, not really, because no one's playing. I guess if more people played and there was builds on light classes, you know, Solar Void, Arc, Stasis and Strand, then I think, you know, people would be a bit healthier. Some people do want to be just on Prismatic, but 90% of people don't want to be locked into one subclass for 12 months. This is the issue. I don't want to be locked into one subclass for 12 months. Why? In a game like this, it's not meant to be how it's meant to be played. You know, you're meant to vary it up. You're meant to vary it up, you know, and the seasonal mods will dictate that to a degree. Like, for example, now Void builds are a little bit more, I wouldn't say viable over Prismatic, but they're there because they've got All Gods Right. But you can activate All Gods Right even if you're on Prismatic, right? So what's the up there if I just run a Void over just running Prismatic? You know what I'm saying? Do I just run Void Walker or should I run a Prismatic Warlock? And the answer is just run a Prismatic Warlock. I know that Void Walker's cool and all every now and then to showcase it, to remind you of the old days. But literally, there isn't much point. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying is the game isn't more watchable now. If anything, it's less watchable. Especially on a Prismatic Titan. I will tell you right now, right here, if I do a Prismatic Titan run, the watch time is far less. It's decreased. The amount of time I've actually compared a Prismatic Titan run to a standard Titan run, and more of you watch longer if it's not Prismatic Titan. There's a stat. There's a statistic. There's a stat for you. That's exclusive to my channel. That doesn't mean to say it's the same for everybody else's. I'm just giving you a little fact there, and it makes sense because you know the gameplay loop of Prismatic Titan. You know what it's going to be involving and how I'm going to deal with it. The only way that it's really good is if the GM is really quick, like sub 10 minutes. Then, okay, fair enough. But, you know, if it's any longer than that, then it's not as worth it, right? That's what I'm saying. It's not as worth it. So this section is basically, I didn't know the ad spawns. It looks like they are infinite. So there's each platform, there's freshes that come in and drop off Cabal every now and then, right? They look to be infinite to me. To my left, they keep spawning up. So the chill clip here as well, we use that. You've been seeing me. I'm going to use it again here. Like I say, it's handy to just to get a freeze on a champ because I didn't need really like a bait and switch GL. There was no need for it anywhere, so I knew that before coming into this. So I was like, what utility heavy can I use? I didn't want to use a chill clip GL because I've showed that in the past. So I wanted to showcase a chill clip linear on. Just the utility of it, because it's easier to proc a chill clip off a linear than it is a GL. If you're standing 40, 50 meters away, are we understanding that? Right? And this will happen. This absolutely may happen in a GM like this. So there seems to be no snipers either yet on phase 1 or 2. I can tell you on phase 3, those scions are not snipers. Some of the scions that do spawn are snipers though. That's on phase 3. So every time you get to 100%, you're going to get a VIP target. The important thing about that though is kill the ads surround and where you need to throw the bomb, and the bomb can kill you. Be very careful. I have had that happen to me on strikes, so you can imagine it's definitely going to happen on a GM because area of effect damage is increased on GMs as opposed to a normal strike. So when you're throwing the relic, do not get too close to the reactor. It'll kill you. It'll absolutely kill you. We missed our gunpowder's gamble there. That's unfortunate, but we got a dust field off. We'll get a golden gun here, we may as well. We got that damage. We got our super back, third to our super, of course. So that's another reason why it's just so good to use golden gun on this. So next VIP's over there. We're just taking out some of these scions and the void. I didn't know there was void shields in this. I wish I'd known that, but it didn't matter too much though. See these ads, these legionaries, like I say, they're infinite. They just keep spawning up over and over. The point of it is, strategize which reactor you're going to destroy. So I went left, right, then back at the very back. So when we're going to throw the relic on right side, make sure there's no backpacks there. Right, that's a chance of death. Of course, just make sure that your area is clear and tidy. Or proc an invis, then throw your relic. But yeah, we're just baiting this guy here. Use our gunpowder's gamble. We may as well super because we've got it to use again. So that's Relic number 2, 23 minutes in. So like I say, this run wasn't optimized because I wasn't expecting everything, but I wanted to do this before reset. Just because getting a video out at reset, which UK is 5 o'clock, right? For America, it's a little bit, be 12 o'clock or whatever you are. But getting a video out on reset time for content creation is absolutely crucial. Or near reset time. This is when people are more likely to have a look at Destiny 2 vids. So this is why I'm doing the run before reset. And I know the surges are slightly different, but it doesn't matter really. To be honest with you, if you run my loadout at reset, you will cook more with the linear. If you have a chill clip linear like this one, which you should have kept one, right? Because that linear is very common in the world loot pool. So you have all had the chill clip linear at some point. It's whether you've deleted it or not. And I bet most of you deleted it. And I'm thinking, no, because at some point they will buff linears again. That's how the whole time in the sun mechanic works for Destiny 2. Ever since Luke Smith mentioned it in Destiny 1, that same ideology is the same thing. They will keep buffing and nerfing things over and over and over and over to sell you that content back. They advertise the sandbox as content, even though it's not, right? We shouldn't be in a day and age where, the selling point for the new season is the sandbox. No, that's base foundational stuff that they should be organising and sorting out. That shouldn't be advertised as part of the content. That's content and sandbox are two different things, but they seem to be blurring the lines between the two. I know that artifact mods kind of influence the meta. Well, they do influence the meta, so they can certainly advertise that as the new season. But if they're doing base buffs to linears or scouts, that shouldn't be advertised as the new content. That's not content. That's just how the sandbox works, right? Don't be a fool. Don't be easily won over by that stuff. It's just a sandbox update. It's their job to update the sandbox. That's what a live service game's about. That's what we pay our money for, right? So I don't see this as something extra that we're getting. I see it as a mandatory thing that they need to look at and pay attention to. And two things that are needed are Scout Rifle buff, Linear Fusion Rifle buff. And I don't want to hear the answer of, that means you're playing from a range. So what? That's part of the game. There's CQC builds, there's long range builds. There should always be, and anywhere in between, mid-range, long-range, close quarters. There shouldn't just be close quarter builds, because then that just means it's just a close quarter game, and that's not what this game is. It's meant to be open for interpretation to the player. That's the critical thing. It's meant to be open for interpretation. So this part of the relics was the hardest bit for me, but it wasn't that hard. It was just that it was taking the longest because the ads are sort of grouped up to the right there. So I started to alter my positioning because of that, I noticed. We'll just get rid of this champ. Spam ammo here. Look at the amount of special ammo I'm getting. So you can spam Mountaintop. You can absolutely spam it for sure. Especially on Void Shields, because Polaris is not a shield breaking weapon. Not very good for that. I'll just speed up the footage from here because we're literally done with this. We just need to clear out this barrier. So you get a barrier here. So the first two waves were unstops. Make sure you clear out all your champs, because this is such a long GM as well. You wouldn't want to miss a champ. Don't try to be skipping them. It's in your best interest to kill them anyways, because they would only interfere with DPS. Now, when we get to the boss fight, I believe there's some unstops. That's it. There was no barriers, just unstops. That's actually kind of good, because unstops are you can control them a little better. We'll pop a good Transcendency. That was a good. This cliffside's very good for fighting on right hand side, so that's a tip. I'm sure there's much better positions from where I fought from, and they'll be better, which I'll have a look at this week on where else I could have stood to do boss damage, take care of unstoppable champions, etc. I'm sure there is. If your relic runs out likely, Because we killed that champ, or the VIP. He dropped the relic, but the relic ran out. So if the relic runs out, an extra dog will spawn in so you can get the relic. Okay, there you go. So you're foolproof. You know, if you don't have access to get to that relic safely, then don't worry about it. You'll end up getting another relic later. So when you do begin the rite of proving, you will get super energy. I already had my super, but if you didn't have it, you'll get your super back. Not transcendence though, just super and ability energy, I believe, as in grenade, melee. It's like proving grounds. This is a base. This is a baby proving grounds, GM. That's what it is. So when Commander Dracus spawns in, I was looking to where to stand for, but you ultimately want to start with a golden gun. Preferably a debuffed golden gun via your GL. This is why we run GLs. Okay, that's why people have spammed GLs this season, because they offer a debuff, which ultimately makes them #1 special weapons in the game right now. Until that debuff goes away, it's pointless to run a fusion rifle. It's pointless to run... sniping, maybe there's more of an argument for, especially like succession and stuff, or supremacy. But generally speaking, a GL's better because you debuff for your super. You get more super damage out. Look at the damage that we dealt. Bear in mind, that's a debuffed golden gun at 2030. This boss has a lot of HP. He's very tanky. I'm pretty certain the reason why he's got so much HP is because he's easy to fight. So Bungie have tried to balance that by saying, okay, it's easy to fight him because you're in a battlefield area. You can scout him. But he's very tanky as a result. And I'm 2030 in power. GMs are 2050. That means I'm a minus 20 delta. Minus 20 delta. So I wasn't 100% on the ad spawns or what percentages they spawn. When does he spawn his shield? His Cabal bubble? I didn't know any of that at the time of this run. But you're going to learn that, aren't you, as I do it. And I've learned from this run. So the next run that I do, right, I'll know this stuff on optimizations. That's how a run ultimately gets optimized, is by your first clear. Then your second clear is a little bit more optimized. Then your third clear is fully optimized. Then you maybe find out another optimization. And then that optimization cycle goes on and on and on and on. Depending on how much you play the GM. Depends on how much you enjoy the GM. This GM's fine. I like it. It's a change of pace for me. Because we've had Corrupted. We've had Birthplace of the Vile. So much. Inverted Spire. We've had that. To be fair, I've probably enjoyed Inverted Spire the most. As a new GM experience this season, my favourite's been Inverted Spire. Because Inverted Spire was very, very difficult as it came out, but it got optimised. Like I just told you about the optimisation cycle. It got easier and easier as time went on. Right? To the point where I could run that now, with most loadouts. The run would be longer as a result if it's a bad loadout, but I could still run it with most loadouts. So yeah, that's been my top pick for this season in terms of a new GM experience. Luminality is different. Luminality with the oscillation, I hate it. I just think it's badly designed. I think Luminality should have had Shock Caller or Class Warfare. It should not have launched with oscillation. I know you can take advantage of oscillation and run like Revision 0 to melt the boss. I'm aware of it. I'm just saying that I just think that it should have just... Because it's got the modifier blasts on it, everything does increased damage to you. Blasts is insane. I hate that modifier. It's just poorly designed, Luminality. And I'm not a fan of every boss being a Tormentor type design either. I think Tormentors are meant to be major targets. They shouldn't be bosses. I just think that's bad. I think... imagine some sort of Amkara boss, because there's an Amkara skull thing in that room. Imagine some new design. I think everybody would rather have a new boss design over a Tormentor again. Fair enough, Tormentors have been, a good implementation to the game, but to keep spamming them over and over in every single activity isn't good. And they've done that since Lightfall. They've done that since Foul Shape. They just spam Tormentors at you all the time. And I just think that's just, they're spamming it far too much. So look at this. This champ's he's not getting stunned by Polaris because it's not immediate. It takes time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting impatient. I'll use my chill clip linear and then I get an instant stun. So I think it was absolutely right to use this linear in this run. It worked well as a utility heavy. The only reason why the run's probably 10 minutes longer than what it should be, a run should probably be about 30 minutes. A long range GM like this should be probably about 30 minutes. The reason why it's 40 is because, well, I didn't know exactly what was going on with the ad spawns, and I was sort of using the run to figure that out. Now that I see the ad spawns, obviously we'll run this back and try it out with some other perks. For example, Wish Ender might be very good in this, right? That's another gun that, a bow should I say, might be actually very good in this. Any sort of exotic primary outbreak could be really good in this as well. There's options. There's definitely options. So, boss is down to a third. He hasn't spawned in the shield thing yet. We have our golden gun. I should now, right now, be going to super the boss. But for whatever reason, I'm playing back here just to see. What I'm trying to do is fin the enemies, because what I do know is if I was to go and golden gun the boss and send him to the next phase, it might make the Cabal shield worse for me because there's more ads stacked up from latter phases. This is a strategy that I do when I'm experiencing new content. Because one of the triggers in the game, it applies to all GMs, is that ads are spawned to boss's HP value. So when a boss, so for example, if a boss gets to a 70%, oh, there's an ad wave. The boss gets to 50%, oh, there's another ad wave. The ad wave from 70% doesn't despawn. You've still got to deal with that. And I'm using that strategy now, as in clearing all the ads, then doing damage sort of thing. As a precaution that the Cabal shield thing isn't a problem for me, because I will need to take out that generator. There is a bug revolving around it as well, which I'm going to talk to you about the Cabal bugs for the barrier shield in particular, the Cabal bubble, in a minute when that spawns up. But look at the amount of super that we're getting. That's what I'm now focusing on. Now you can see is, alright, let's focus boss damage. See, ad waves are coming in. So it's every 5 to 10% HP by lurks, you get an ad wave. Make sure you eat your crit. That's why I'm taking my time, because you will lose so much damage if you miss. So, the Cabal generators. There is a way to shoot through them. Okay? There's two ways. You can use a golden gun. I believe you can shoot the generator down with your golden gun. I believe so. And Skyburner's off. Skyburner's off is not too bad. It's not as good as Polaris though, if I'm being honest. Polaris is better than Skyburners. But if you run Skyburners with no barrier rounds in it, then you are allowed to shoot through the Cabal bubble. The kicker is if you run Barrier Scout, you can't do the trick. Now that's counterintuitive, right? Because that means you're going to have to run Skyburners with no barrier rounds. That's why Skyburners is rubbish. So, well, it's good if you have barrier in it, but you've got to not have barrier in it to work, to shoot through the Cabal thing. So, basically, just avoid that strategy. Instead, just take out the ads and then eventually shoot down the bubble. Because look, we've finned the enemies now. This is exactly why I was killing some of the ads on the previous waves, so that there wasn't that many to group up in the barrier, in the Cabal bubble. But what I did notice is you can bait them outside of that bubble a little bit. That's what I'm going to do now, because I'm going to pick up some ammo. I know that there's a sniper and some rogue ads to the right hand side, and that's exactly what I'm wanting to get rid of right now. I don't want any snipers up, basically. They are dangerous, or can be in numbers, and there'll be more snipers as we go on. So there's another ad wave there. That looks because I've pushed up. I'm not 100% on that. There's only 3 legionaries though, so I guess they might be just on a timer as well, where they just keep spawning up, like on the shield, on the battery phase, where every now and then you'll get a ship regardless. I think so. It is a battleground strike, so they have different rules slightly to a normal GM. Looks like it. Are they 3 more? Legionaries. If it's 3 Legionaries, then I suspect that that's just an unlimited spawn. It looks that way, doesn't it? So now I need to deal with this generator. Now look at this. This is the bug. Golden Gun will shoot right through. I think you can shoot the generator with Golden Gun as well, but I didn't want to do that. Instead, I just wanted to super the boss. Because the ads are thinned out anyways, and if there's any Golden Gun to spend, it's definitely on the boss. He's very tanky. Because look, now we have a good position to deal with this generator. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a Dusk Veil down because to stop these ads from pushing me a little bit. We can get some ignitions as well on that Cabal shield. Okay, that's it. Boss's shield is taken down. He's now immune though. Ads will spawn in. So see, notice like phase 1, 2, 3, it's just forever him going up the hill towards where the entrance is for Proving Grounds. That's why I call this a hill GM. And I said that. I give you my predictions at the start of the season before any GMs come out. And I told you all, I said, look, the easiest GM of the season will be Behemoth. Well, technically Birthplace is, but this is number 2. We didn't realise how easy Brawn would be. So I think Birthplace is still easier than this one because it's shorter. But this is the next one that's easy to solo. But it's a change of pace. I'm not bothered that it's easy. At least it's something different to what we've already had. You know, it could be worse. It could be something else that we hate. It could be Exodus Crash. You know, it could be. Although Exodus Crash isn't too bad nowadays. It used to be awful. So these are the only other champs I believe that are at the boss fight. We get a stun there with Polaris. Look at the amount of damage that we're doing with Mountaintop. We missed one shot there. That's unfortunate. We're going to use Chill Clip here because I cannot be bothered to keep shooting with the Scout. That's fine. We could optimize this now, thinking a little bit better, and save the champs to farm them up for super energy later. Just thinking of that idea right now, right this second. So that's something I might be playing around with on another run. We'll see. Because obviously intellect is tied towards your super. So look, the boss's shield goes down as that. Oh no, you got to kill the champs. So what my idea is broken now, because you need to kill the 2 champs to take down the boss's shield. So that's wrong. That's false. But what I can be doing now is saving the ads. Don't kill any ads right now. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm just on the run. I am. Save all the ads for super later. Think of the ads as super. Okay? Look at them as a intellect super bar because you want supers on this phase. Now it's going to take 3 Golden Gun Nighthawks roughly to take down that boss's shield, boss's health. 2 with enough Polaris Lance damage with some Mountaintop damage. Right? So we've got 1 here. So make sure you've debuffed that boss. This is the good place, by the way. This is absolutely the best place to stand on phase 3. Simply because of the amount of damage that we can do without having to kill ads. That's your goal right now. Obviously, we're 32 minutes, 56 seconds in. I don't want to be clearing any more. Unless they were champs, then maybe. But my ultimate goal now is just to get rid of this boss. He has spawned up his shield. I didn't realise there was going to be a second one. I did get him weak enough, I suppose. Well, close. But ultimately now, what we want to do is take care of some of the ads to get a super. Because we can penetrate the Cabal. Make sure you crit. It is a hard crit. Look, you can barely see it. Did we get our crit? Yeah, we do. So we got our crit that time. So now we can farm another super by using some of the ads. Now there's not many ads left. That's the only thing about it. But I think I end up missing my crit. It is a hard crit to hit from here. Especially if the ads are in your way. There's aim assist to consider. I mean aim assist in a bad way. I don't mean in a good way. So on console, if you don't know, I guess some people don't because some people are a bit ignorant to console users. I've noticed that. I'm here just to clear it up. If a ad runs past a boss, your ADS scope or sight will track the ad that's moving rather than the stationary target. So if you're up against an overload champ, a boss, if there's a random goblin or legionary, your scope will drag all the way from the boss to a red bar. It's the most annoying thing in Destiny 2 on console. Here we go. We do miss our crit. That feels bad, man. I don't think we would have killed him anyways, but that does feel bad. But what we did do, we've took down this shield, it looks. I think that's exactly what's happened there, but the shield's down anyway, so that's actually no problem. So I wasn't even like with it at that point. I was like, oh, the boss's shields, the Cabal shield things went down. So now we can just go back to our perch and just scout rifle this boss to death. We can even pop a Transcendence. Not that it's that useful from a range like this. I suppose we can get some damage off. Just be careful of snipers on this final phase. Don't be silly. Don't overcommit to damage. You know, try and head glitch. You can head glitch like this, look. It looks like you can tank quite a lot of sniper shots because it's arc threat, not solar. That does make a difference. The goal is just to get our super, right? We're going to take down this sniper because he has been a nuisance. It was only 1 or 2 snipers, I think. Wasn't that much of a problem. This was absolute plat rank, so we killed all the champs. You've seen all the champion spawns. You've seen what to do. You'll be able to optimize this a little better than what I did. And like I say, we'll do some more runs as the week goes on. That was a solo GM on this. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.